What if I told you that the chill, laid-back music of summer was actually born from struggle and rebellion? A single tiny change in a drum beat would launch a global revolution. But the first song to ever use the word reggae holds a shocking secret about where that word really came from. It all started with a little taste of sweetness, a song so popular it put Jamaican music on the world map for the very first time. 1. My Boy Lollipop by Millie Small. Long before anyone had heard of reggae, Jamaica had a different sound that was making people dance. It was called ska. Ska music is fast, energetic, and full of upbeat horns. It was the sound of celebration and freedom for Jamaica in the early 1962. For a while, ska was Jamaica's own special secret. But one young singer was about to share that secret with the entire world. Her name was Millie Small, and in 1964, she recorded a song called My Boy Lollipop. Believe it or not, the song was a cover of an old American tune, but Millie Small and the producers gave it the bouncy, infectious ska treatment. The result was pure magic. The song became a massive international hit, climbing the charts in the United Kingdom and the United States. For millions of people, this was the very first time they had ever heard a Jamaican beat. My Boy Lollipop was sweet, fun, and impossible not to dance to. It opened the door for Jamaican music, proving that the little island had a sound the whole world wanted to hear. But the happy party vibe of ska was about to get a serious new message, thanks to a group of young men who would soon become the most famous band in reggae history. 2. Simmer Down by the Wailers. While Millie Small was singing about sweet treats, a new group of teenagers was forming in Kingston, Jamaica. They called themselves the Wailers, and they were led by a young man named Bob Marley, along with his friends Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer. They were not singing about candy. They were singing about what they saw on the streets every day. In the 1962nd, Jamaican cities had groups of tough, restless young men known as rude boys. There was a lot of tension and fighting between these groups. The Wailers saw this and decided to sing about it. Their first big hit in Jamaica was a song called Simmer Down. The song was a direct message to the rude boys. With its fast ska beat, it sounded like a party song, but the words were a plea for peace. They were telling the youths to cool down, to stop fighting amongst themselves. This was a huge deal. Here was a song that was not just for dancing. It had a social message. It was using music to talk about real-life problems. The Wailers were showing that Jamaican music could be both fun and powerful. This idea of music with a message would become a cornerstone of reggae. But while the Wailers were telling people to cool down, another artist was about to make the rude boy lifestyle sound impossibly cool, like something out of a spy movie. 3. 007 Shanty Town by Desmond Dekker. If the Wailers were the conscience of Jamaican music, then Desmond Dekker was its storyteller. He had a smooth voice and a knack for writing songs that felt like mini-movies. In 1967, he released a song that perfectly captured the rude boy image and made it famous around the world. That song was 007 Shanty Town. The title itself was brilliant. At the time, James Bond movies were the biggest thing in the world, and James Bond's code number was 007. By using that number, Desmond Dekker made the rude boys sound as cool and dangerous as secret agents. The song describes these characters walking around town, dressed sharp, and not afraid of anyone. It had a slower, cooler groove than most ska music. It was something new. The song was a massive hit in Jamaica and also in the UK. It was another sign that the sound of Jamaica was changing. The frantic energy of ska was starting to relax. The beat was slowing down, giving the music a new kind of power and a cooler feel. This new, slower style had a name, and it was about to take over the island, thanks to a song with a melody so beautiful it's still being sung today. 4. The Tide is High by the Paragons. As the 1962nd continued, the Jamaican heat seemed to seep into the music. The fast pace of ska started to feel like too much work. Musicians and dancers wanted something more relaxed, something to chill out to. This new sound was called rocksteady. Rocksteady was slower, smoother, and gave more space for singers' voices and beautiful harmonies to shine through. And no song showed off the beauty of rocksteady better than "The Tide is High" by a group called the Paragons. Released in 1967, "The Tide is High" is pure vocal perfection. Lead singer John Holt's voice is smooth as silk, and the group's harmonies behind him are just gorgeous. The beat is slow and steady, like a gentle heartbeat. The song is about a man determined to win the love of a woman, no matter what obstacles are in his way. It is romantic and soulful. Here's the thing, this song was so good that it had a second life. More than a decade later, an American band called Blondie covered it and made it a #1 hit all over again. But back in Jamaica, "The Tide is High" was a perfect example of the rocksteady sound. It proved that Jamaican music could be as sweet and soulful as anything coming out of America. This new relaxed sound was catching on, and even American singers were flying to Jamaica to get a piece of the action. 5. Rivers of Babylon by the Melodians. As Jamaica's music slowed down from the frenetic ska to the soulful sway of rocksteady, a new spiritual depth was starting to bubble up. The island's Rastafarian faith, with its focus on African heritage and biblical redemption, was weaving its way into the sound. In 1970, a vocal trio called the Melodians dropped a song that felt like a prayer set to a groove. That song was "Rivers of Babylon," and it would carry Jamaica's message of hope and struggle far beyond the island's shores. Rivers of Babylon is pure magic, a haunting, harmonious blend of rocksteady's smooth rhythms and the emerging pulse of reggae. Written by Brent Dow and Trevor McNaughton, the song draws its lyrics from Psalm 137 the Bible, where the Israelites lament their exile by the rivers of Babylon. For Rastafarians, this was more than a story. It was a powerful metaphor for their own longing for freedom and a return to Africa. The Melodians' voices soar with emotion, backed by a steady, heartbeat-like rhythm that feels both grounded and transcendent. This wasn't just a song, it was a spiritual anthem that captured the heart of Jamaica's Rasta community. When it was featured on the soundtrack of The Harder They Come in 1972, it reached a global audience, planting the seeds of reggae's soulful, conscious vibe. Years later, in 1978, a cover by the disco group Boney M took it to #1 in the UK, proving the song's universal power. Back in Jamaica, Rivers of Babylon was a cornerstone, showing that reggae could carry sacred messages while still making you sway. It set the stage for the genre's spiritual giants, and it helped light the path for the next big shift in Jamaica's sound. Now, the rocksteady beat itself was about to change one more time, thanks to a song born from a real-life tale of trouble and a prison sentence. 6. 54 to 46 Was My Number by Toots and the Maytals. Right as rocksteady was at its peak, one of its biggest stars got into some trouble. The singer was named Toots Hibbert, the powerful lead vocalist of the group Toots and the Maytals. He ended up having to spend time in jail. When he got out, he did what great artists do. He wrote a song about his experience, and that song would become one of the most important in Jamaican music history. The song was called 54 to 46 Was My Number. The title was his actual inmate number. The song tells the story of him being arrested and his time behind bars. But the most important part of the song was not the story, it was the rhythm. It was not quite rocksteady anymore. It had a new kind of energy. It was chunkier, more syncopated, and had a scratchy guitar sound that was different from anything else. This song was the bridge. It was the sound of rocksteady turning into something else. You can hear the beginnings of a new groove, a one-drop beat that would become the signature of reggae. Toots Hibbert was literally singing his way out of the old style and into a new one. This song was so close to being reggae, but it was missing one thing. The Name. And as it turns out, the very same band was about to give the new sound its official name. 7. Do the Reggae by Toots and the Maytals. This is it, the big moment. In 1968, Toots and the Maytals released a song called Do the Reggae. Believe it or not, this is widely accepted as the very first song to ever use the word reggae in its title and lyrics. It gave a name to the new sound that had been bubbling up from the streets of Kingston. So, where did the word come from? Toots Hibbert himself explained it years later. He said it came from a Jamaican slang word, streggae, which was used to describe someone who looked scruffy or dressed messily. One day they were in the studio, just messing around, and they started singing, "Let's do the reggae," flipping the word around. It stuck. They created a song around this new dance called the Reggae. The song itself is a dance instruction song. It tells you how to do the new dance that fits the new rhythm. The beat is that same new, choppy, guitar-driven sound from 54 to 46, but now it had an identity. It was reggae. It's wild to think that a whole genre of music got its name from a slang term for being untidy. From this point on, there was no going back. Reggae was born, and it was about to have its first true international superstar moment. 8. Israelites by Desmond Dekker and the Aces.
In the morning, slaving for bread, son.
Now that the new music had a name, it needed an anthem that could conquer the world. Desmond Dekker, the same man who made the Rude Boys famous with 007, was the one to deliver it. In late 1968, he released a song called Israelites. This song would do something incredible. It became the first reggae song to hit the #1 spot on the charts in the UK and to become a top 10 hit in the United States. The song is unforgettable. It starts with Desmond Dekker's unique and emotional cry. The lyrics are about struggle and hardship. The singer talks about waking up in the morning, working for bread, and being taken for a ride. He compares his own struggles to the story of the ancient Israelites in the Bible who were slaves in Egypt. This was a deep and serious topic for a pop song. Here's the kicker. Many people around the world who loved the song and danced to it had no idea what it was about because of Desmond Dekker's thick Jamaican accent. They just loved the irresistible rhythm and the passion in his voice. Israelites proved that reggae could be both lyrically deep and commercially successful on a global scale. But the biggest explosion was yet to come, delivered not just by a song, but by a whole movie. 9. The Harder They Come by Jimmy Cliff. By the early 1972nd, reggae was the undisputed king of Jamaican music, but to much of the outside world, it was still a bit of a mystery. That all changed in 1972 with the release of a movie called The Harder They Come, starring a charismatic singer named Jimmy Cliff. The movie was a gritty and realistic story about a young man from the countryside who comes to the city to become a music star, but gets caught up in a life of crime. The title song of the movie, also called The Harder They Come and sung by Jimmy Cliff, became the ultimate reggae anthem. The lyrics are about defiance and perseverance. Jimmy sings about how he would rather fight for what he believes in than live a life of quiet desperation. The famous line, "The harder they come, the harder they fall, one and all," is a powerful statement of self-belief. The movie and its amazing soundtrack were a sensation. For the first time, people all over the world got to see and hear the real Jamaica. They saw the poverty, the struggle, the music business, and the rebellious spirit of the people. The soundtrack was packed with reggae classics and became a must-have album for anyone interested in this new music. It turned Jimmy Cliff into an international star and reggae into a global phenomenon. Reggae was no longer just music, it was a movement, and its message was about to get even more powerful and political. 10. Get Up, Stand Up by the Wailers. After The Harder They Come opened the world's eyes to reggae, Bob Marley and the Wailers were ready to take the next step. They had signed an international record deal and were ready to deliver their message to a massive audience. In 1973, they released the album Burnin', and on that album was a song that would become one of the most powerful protest anthems of all time. The song was Get Up, Stand Up. The song was co-written by Bob Marley and Peter Tosh, and it is a direct call to action. It is a fiery, powerful track that tells people to stop waiting for help from the sky or from politicians. It says that if you want your rights, you have to stand up and fight for them yourself. The lyrics are simple, direct, and incredibly forceful. This song was different. It was not a love song or a dance tune. It was a challenge. It was the sound of a people who were tired of being pushed around. Get Up, Stand Up became a global anthem for human rights, sung at protests and rallies all over the world. It showed that reggae was not just about feeling good, it was about fighting for what is right. This raw political edge was a key part of reggae's power, and it was about to be amplified by a new studio technique that would change the sound of music forever. 11. War in a Babylon by Max Romeo. As reggae music got more serious in its message, the way it was made also got more creative and experimental. The leaders of this new sound were studio producers who were like musical scientists. The most famous and most inventive of them all was a genius named Lee Scratch Perry. He used his recording studio like an instrument, adding strange echoes, weird sound effects, and dropping instruments in and out of the mix. This style became known as dub. A perfect example of his genius is the 1976 song War in a Babylon by Max Romeo. The song itself is a heavy social commentary, describing the tension and conflict in the city of Kingston. Max Romeo's singing is full of passion and anger. But what makes the song a masterpiece is Lee Scratch Perry's production. He surrounds the vocals with swirling echoes and sounds that seem to appear from nowhere and then vanish. The bass and drums are pushed right to the front, creating a deep, heavy groove that you can feel in your chest. It feels dark, mysterious, and powerful. It was the perfect sound for the serious message of the song. This dub technique, this idea of deconstructing a song and rebuilding it in a new way, would become incredibly influential. The next step was to take the vocals away completely and let the rhythm speak for itself. 12. King Tubby meets Rockers Uptown by Augustus Pablo. While Lee Scratch Perry was one pioneer of dub, another studio wizard named King Tubby was arguably its inventor. King Tubby's special skill was taking an existing reggae song, removing most of the vocals, and remixing it into something brand new. He would turn up the bass and drums and use echo and reverb as if they were instruments. This created a new genre called dub music. The ultimate dub masterpiece is a track from 1976 called King Tubby Meets Rockers Uptown. The track is a remix of a song called Baby I Love You So by a musician named Jacob Miller. The producer and instrumentalist for the original track was Augustus Pablo, who played a melodica, which is a small keyboard-like instrument that you blow into. It has a very unique, haunting sound. In King Tubby's hands, the song becomes an echo-filled journey. The drums crash like thunder, the bass line is a deep rumble, and Augustus Pa blows melodica floats in and out of the mix like a ghost. At the end of the day, it is one of the most important and influential pieces of electronic music ever made. It showed how a producer could be an artist in their own right, and its influence can be heard in hip-hop, dance music, and pop to this day. This experimental sound also caught the ear of a new generation of angry young musicians across the ocean in England. 13. Police and Thieves by Junior Murvin. The connection between Jamaica and England has always been strong, and in the 1972nd, reggae music was the soundtrack for many communities in London. At the same time, a new, loud, and angry style of music was exploding in the UK. It was called punk rock. On the surface, punk and reggae seem like total opposites. One is fast and aggressive, the other is cool and laid back. But they shared a common spirit. Both were music for rebels and outsiders. In 1976, a singer named Junior Murvin, working with producer Lee Scratch Perry, recorded the song Police and Thieves. The song, sung in Junior's high, haunting voice, describes street battles between the people and the authorities. It is a powerful and tense piece of music. The song became a huge hit in the reggae community in London. One of the bands that heard it and loved it was a new punk band called The Clash. They loved the song's rebellious message so much that they decided to record their own version of it in 1977. Their version was faster and more frantic, but they kept the reggae soul of the song. By covering Police and Thieves, The Clash built a bridge between punk and reggae. They showed their fans that they should listen to this music from Jamaica because it was just as rebellious as they were. While punks were connecting with reggae's rebellious side, back in Jamaica, the music was diving deeper into its spiritual roots. 14. 2-7's Clash by Culture.
I can see with my own eyes.
A huge part of reggae music is connected to the Rastafari faith, a spiritual movement that began in Jamaica. Rasta beliefs and ideas gave reggae much of its lyrical depth and power. In 1977, a group called Culture, led by the incredible singer Joseph Hill, released a song that was pure, undiluted Rasta prophecy. The song was 2-7's Clash. The song was based on a prediction by the famous Jamaican political leader Marcus Garvey. He had spoken about a time when the sevens clash. For many Rastas, this meant the year 1977. The song 2-7's Clash was basically a warning. It predicted that the year 1977 would bring chaos and judgment. The lyrics are full of powerful imagery from the Bible and Rasta teachings. When the song came out, it had an unbelievable effect on the island of Jamaica. People took the prophecy so seriously that on the 7th of July, 1977, many people stayed home from work and school, afraid of what might happen. Of course, the world did not end, but the song's power was undeniable. It showed how deeply connected reggae music was to the spiritual and cultural life of the Jamaican people. The song was a powerful reminder of the historical figures who inspired the Rasta movement, and another legendary artist was about to pay tribute to the most important one of all. 15. Marcus Garvey by Burning Spear. To understand roots reggae, you have to understand the importance of Marcus Garvey. He was a Jamaican-born leader from the early 20th century who preached black pride, self-reliance, and the idea that people of African descent should return to their ancestral homeland. His teachings were a massive inspiration for the Rastafari movement and for many reggae musicians. No artist dedicated more of his music to Garvey's memory than the singer known as Burning Spear. In 1975, Burning Spear released the song Marcus Garvey. The song is like a history lesson set to a deep, hypnotic reggae rhythm. The music has a mystical, almost trance-like quality. Burning Spear's voice sounds ancient and wise as he sings about Garvey, asking if anyone remembers this great hero. He sings about how Garvey's words were a source of strength for the people. This song was hugely important because it was pure, uncompromising cultural education. It was not trying to be a pop hit. It was trying to teach its listeners about their own history and heritage. It cemented Burning Spear's reputation as one of reggae's most important spiritual voices. It was a perfect example of roots reggae music, which was focused on culture, history, and social justice. This focus on justice was about to be taken to another level by one of Bob Marley's former bandmates, who is now a major star in his own right. 16. Equal Rights by Peter Tosh. After leaving the Wailers, Peter Tosh carved out a career as the most militant and uncompromising of the reggae superstars. While Bob Marley sang about one love, Peter Tosh was focused on equal rights. He was a fiery and fearless performer who was not afraid to speak his mind. no matter how much trouble it got him into. His most powerful statement was the 1977 album and title track, Equal Rights. The song Equal Rights is a raw, powerful demand for justice. Peter Tosh was not asking for rights, he was demanding them. The famous line is, "I don't want no peace, I need equal rights and justice." What he meant was that there could be no true peace without justice for all people. He was tired of talk. He wanted action. This song became his signature anthem. He famously performed it at a concert in Jamaica in front of the country's political leaders, using the opportunity to lecture them about their failures. He was a true rebel who used his music as a weapon in the fight for a better world. His confrontational style showed a different side of reggae's power. While Tosh was fighting the political battles, his old friend Bob Marley was about to touch the world's heart with a song of deep personal emotion. 17. No Woman, No Cry by Bob Marley. Bob Marley is the king of reggae for a reason. He could sing about protest and revolution 1 minute, and then sing a song with so much heart and emotion it could make the whole world cry the next. Perhaps his most beloved song of all is No Woman, No Cry, especially the live version from his 1975 album, Live. The song is a beautiful and nostalgic look back at his early years growing up in a government yard, a type of public housing project in Trenchtown, Jamaica. He sings about the friends he had and the hard times they shared. He remembers sitting around a fire, sharing food, and dreaming of a better future. The song is a message of comfort to a woman, telling her not to weep because everything is going to be all right. The title is in Jamaican patois, and it means, "No woman, don't you cry." What's wild is that the live version is the one everyone knows and loves. You can hear the crowd singing along, and it feels like a shared, universal experience of hope. The song showed that reggae could be incredibly personal and emotional. It was not just about politics or dancing, it was about the human heart. It connected with people everywhere, and it set the stage for Marley to deliver his ultimate message of global harmony. 18. One Love, People Get Ready by Bob Marley. If Bob Marley has one song that sums up his entire message to the world, this is it. The song One Love, People Get Ready, released on the classic 1977 album Exodus, is his global anthem of peace, love, and unity. It is one of the most famous and recognized songs on the entire planet. The song has a simple but incredibly powerful message. It calls for all people of all colors and all nations to come together as one. Marley asks a simple question: is there a place for the hopeless sinner who has hurt all mankind just to save his own? It is a call for forgiveness and a new start. The music itself feels joyful and hopeful, like a hymn for the whole world. Here's the thing: Marley also cleverly included parts of a famous American soul song called People Get Ready by the Impressions. By doing this, he connected his message of Rasta unity to the American civil rights movement, making the song even more universal. The song became so iconic that the BBC named it the Song of the Millennium. It is the ultimate expression of reggae's positive power and its ability to bring people together. But there was another song, a deeper cut, that many consider to be the true anthem of the Rasta faith. 19. Sata Masagana by the Abyssinians. While Bob Marley was taking reggae to the top of the pop charts, other groups were creating music that was deeply spiritual and meant for the true believers. The vocal trio, the Abyssinians, created what is often called the ultimate Rastafarian anthem. The song is called Sata Masagana, and its story is as incredible as the music itself. The song was actually recorded way back in 1969, but the group had a hard time getting any producers to release it. They thought it sounded too strange and too religious. So the group decided to press and distribute the record all by themselves in 1971. The title, Sata Masagana, is a phrase in the ancient Ethiopian language of Amharic, and it means give thanks. The song is a beautiful, soulful hymn of praise and faith. The music has a minor key, which gives it a sad yet hopeful feeling. The harmonies are absolutely breathtaking. The song slowly but surely became a massive underground hit, a true roots classic passed from person to person. It is considered one of the purest and most important songs in all of reggae. It showed that the most powerful music is not always the most popular. But even as roots reggae reached its spiritual peak, a technological storm was brewing that would change the sound of Jamaica forever. 20. Under Me Sleng Teng by Wayne Smith. For decades, reggae music was made by live musicians. It was all about the feel of the drummer and the bass player locking into a groove. But in 1985, everything changed because of a cheap keyboard and a total accident. A producer named King Jammy was in his studio with a singer named Wayne Smith. They were playing around with a new Casio keyboard. While looking for sounds, they stumbled upon a preset rhythm that was built into the keyboard. It was a rocky, clunky, and kind of robotic-sounding rhythm pattern. It was not a reggae beat at all, but for some reason, they loved it. They decided to use that exact digital rhythm to create a song. Wayne Smith started singing over the top of it, and the result was the song Under Me Sleng Teng. When they first played the song at a sound system dance, the crowd went absolutely wild. They had never heard anything like it. It was the birth of digital reggae, or ragga. Suddenly, you did not need a whole band to make a reggae track. You just needed a keyboard and a singer. This one song completely revolutionized Jamaican music. It kicked off the dancehall era and showed that even after all these years, the little island of Jamaica could still find new ways to change the sound of popular music around the world.